Here you find 5 character traits, let's call them, which traders and athletes share. So we have, first of all, competitiveness, focus, strong discipline due to hard training, mental toughness, and willingness to improve. And so, in fact, I'm not sure whether I ever talked about this before, but just to put this in, or to give you a personal insight. So I'm in sports since I'm 14, I think so. So it's more than 20 years. When I started out in martial arts, in fact, and I made my way through the competition back then, and fighted some stronger competitions here in Germany, in fact. And competitiveness has been a topic. That said, competitiveness has been a topic, in fact, for quite a while now, so over 20 years. And I consider this to be something very, very positive, in fact. So I could imagine, especially when it comes to competitiveness, but also when it comes to willingness to improve, for example, that this is also very important for children in general. Respectively, I was a teenager back then, and it leveled the path to the person who I am today. And I think it's no such a big coincidence, in fact, that given all those work and I put in developing my skills, that I ended up in trading in such an competitive environment, in fact. And so this just a personal anecdote in this case before we start with all the topics here. So that's me, by the way. So here you can see my my vita. So where I come from and who I am. What's my educational background and everything. In fact, I don't want to talk to about that much. In fact, I did an interview together with Admiral. That's about 1 year ago when we started this Trading Spotlight webinar series. So the webinar can be found in the description box of the recording, respectively, on the website from Admiral Markets. What's probably interesting, and this directly guides us to Admiral Markets in this case, is that I'm located in Berlin, in Germany. And why is this important? Because Admiral has an office here, a German office, in Berlin, in the capital of Germany. And Admiral, in fact, has not only an office in Berlin, but has offices around the globe, over 20 offices. And this is noteworthy because it not just underlines the fact that Admiral Markets is a global player in this financial service providing world, let's call it. So especially when it comes to CFD and FX brokerage, but it's also noteworthy since you as a customer, once you open a trading account, once it comes to finance and financial questions, then you definitely you probably have the willingness. No, you have the demand. You just demand someone speaking your native language, and that's very likely to happen once you talk to someone at Admiral Markets. The customer support there is multilingual, let's call it, and German is one of the languages which is spoken there. And in fact, it's only 20 minutes from my flat here to the office, which is in addition to that a big plus, in fact, since it makes the whole experience when it comes to trading an account with Admiral Markets more personal. And you know, once there is an issue, which is not very often the case, but once there's an issue, you have someone to talk to, and that's very, very important to build trustfulness relationship with your financial service provider, in addition to the very, very competitive trading conditions, commissions, very low commissions, very fast order execution. In Germany, we refer to Admiral, for example, as the DAX expert. In fact, I don't know any broker out there who has a more competitive offering when it comes to DAX trading, but that's just not true only for the DAX, but also for FX, for example. Very tight spreads, very fast order execution there too. So definitely worth a look, admiralmarkets.com. Give it a try. Download the demo. Just have a look yourself, and that's it in regards to the introduction. Now let's start with today's agenda. Let's have a look here at the connection between athletes and traders before we then get started with competitiveness, especially. In fact, it took me a while until I realized that there is a strong connection between athletes here and traders, and it dawned on me one day after a guy named Usain Bolt entered the world of sports and athletics. Why is that? So in fact, when you start with trading, you don't really realize that there is this strong connection. So don't get me wrong. I started with the webinar with telling my personal story, and that I first was in sports, and that I don't consider it to be coincidence that I ended up in trading. But that's not necessarily not necessarily the same for everyone, let's say. So, and to me, it became very clear once I dig deeper into this matter, after doing all the mistakes everyone else is doing, trading with an inadequate leverage, for example, trading without a strategy, I'm not knowing what I do, then becoming consciously aware of there's incompetence. I just don't know what I'm doing, so I have to learn, and then you start to realize that there is this connection between athletes and traders. And then when Usain Bolt entered the sports world, it became very, very clear when you look at the numbers. So when you look at Usain Bolt's statistics, you can see that Usain Bolt won 8 gold medals in 3 Olympics. And he was, or he is still, the fastest man on the planet. He ended his career so far, or as of now, he has exited the world of athletics here in this case. But he was a sprinter. He was the fastest man in the world. And for those 8 gold medals in 3 Olympics, he ran less than 115 seconds, which means less than 2 minutes on the track, which nevertheless earned him $119 million so far. So not because he was a very a fast runner, but it was because of all the deals connected with this. So everyone wanted to be the sponsor, for example, of Usain Bolt. And these 2 minutes, nevertheless, took him over 20 years to get to the level where he finally was capable of dominating his competition, in fact. And every one of us might think that Usain Bolt made his fortune in sprinting. He, in fact, ran a marathon, in fact. So it's not that he was just sprinting less than 10 seconds and that's it, and that's what made him the money. But it took him 20 years to get to this point, in fact, and it was more kind of a marathon, in fact. But by the way, here's a picture of Usain Bolt if anyone is not aware who this guy is. And the reason why he made it to the top was over 20 years, he never lost his focus here. He was highly competitive. He wanted to be the best. And he was willing to train very hard for this, always willing to improve while staying mentally stable. You can see that these are traits which you will directly connect with success in trading, in fact. So it's not that you hear about them the first time, but you read about them over and over and over again. And you find out that sports, in this case, athletics and trading, obviously share common traits. And one is here the competitiveness aspect. What I did was I searched for quotes to underline these aspects, quotes from legends in sport, in this case. So I play to win, whether during practice or a real game. Who said it? It was Michael Jordan. Something I find myself I find myself within this quote here. So I definitely know that demo counts or demo trading and live trading, they are very, it's not the same. Just not the same. Let's just face it. It's not the same. But I'm a guy. Once you ask me, okay, what do you think about demo trading? There's certain aspects why this could get an issue due to, especially so-called. I'm not even sure whether I know the right word for this in English. It's neurotransmitters. So you probably remember we once had a webinar on the chemistry, the chemistry or something behind the scenes, which hormones like adrenaline, cortisol, for example, dopamine, serotonin, all these, that this plays a very crucial role in this context, and that you should be really, really careful when demo trading. Beside the fact that if you demo trade and don't take it seriously, and you start to make mistakes, and you take these mistakes without knowing that this is an obvious mistake. For example, trading too big, trading without a stop loss, because you say, well, doesn't matter, it's just demo trading. You start to shape your mind in a wrong way, which will then affect your real trading in the future. In my case, if someone asks me, let's come back to me and the personal attachment I have to this statement is that when I demo trade, I'm as competitive, probably even more competitive than if I'm playing the real trading account. So it's not common that I trade demo, but sometimes there's a strategy I want to test, for example, and I'm really competitive when it comes to demo trading. So I when I make a mistake, it's not that I can't sleep, but it's difficult to get sleep. Let's put it that way. So and once I read this quote from Michael Jordan here in this case, that's perfect when it comes to my personal trading. So it doesn't matter whether it's demo trading or live trading. It's always a very competitive game, and I just want to be ahead of the pack. I mean, there's differences when it comes to demo trading, not just from a mental perspective, but also when it comes to order execution, no slippage and everything. But in general, I'd like to recommend that once you demo trade, even if you demo trade, take it seriously, because this is where the long-term success or not success, put it that way, is in fact shaped. If you start out with demo account and you don't take it seriously, trading too big, trading without a stop loss, not managing positions correctly and everything, this will be seen within your live trading. And that's one of the reasons why I really like this quote, in fact. And it's again coming back down, it's all coming down to competitiveness. So top athletes and top traders are very competitive by nature, in fact, leaving them to look and search for an edge which separates them from the others. So this has been the case all of my life. This is just the way I am. And ask yourself whether you're that kind of guy. It's not that you need to be really competitive and need to see a competition and everything, but I can say, as for example, this is probably one of the reasons why it's very, very a tense situation when I play games with my wife. She's also very competitive. We can't lose both. It's very, very difficult. It's like we play, for example, cards. It's we play poker, whatever, just for fun. So there's no money on the table or something like that. But it's like we really want to win. This is just the way we are, and something which can be seen by many, many, many traders in general, and also athletes, in fact. And this competitiveness very often acts as a strong self-motivating driver, giving the trader but also the athlete the strength to go the extra mile. So in fact, even though it's competitive, even though it's just demo trading, let's put it that way, I continue to work. I'm very focused. We will look at this in the next slide. In fact, I'm very, very focused on finding out the missing piece of the puzzle here to make this whole thing working, so that I can then use it in under real trading conditions with a real money account. And that competitiveness, even though it's probably just practice, it's just demo, is one of the key aspects which makes the trader a top trader, or makes him successful in his trading, and he's willing to put in this extra work. So for example, if I remember back in my days when I started out in martial arts, for example, it was just practice for me, but there was also a second practice. I practiced at home, so which made me better than anyone else, because I was not just going 3 times a week or something to the gym / to the dojo in this case. But it was more like I came there already prepared because I've done my homework. And so I was able to perform really, really well. And once there was an exam, let's say, and you had to graduate to the next level, I always try to perform at my highest possible level, and not just that, but fly over everyone else, let's put it that way. So be better than anyone else. And that's also when it comes to trading, even though that can also result in some difficulties. I mean, that should be clear. If you're too focused and you what will naturally happen is there will be mistakes. From an ego perspective, that's very, very difficult for a competitive person. But this is then where this stamina comes into play, where this I want to go the extra mile comes into play. And yeah, again, what separates top traders and top athletes from the average trader. That doesn't mean that the average guy is not making money. That could be the case. It's also possible that the average athlete performs well, but to perform at a top level, you need to go this extra mile. And yeah, there are many stories from athletes who succeeded in a competition, even while heavily injured, for example, only realizing the pain afterwards. So having a broken ankle, for example, and just keep on working out. The adrenaline, the competitiveness keeps you in the game, in fact. Well, there will be time, and I'm not saying that this is healthy, but it's illustrating really well what makes the difference here. This is also something which I have trouble sometimes to explain to other people. So, for example, someone might say, "Oh, I'm feeling sick. I have to go to the doctor," something like that. I go to the doctor if I have to go to the doctor. Let's put it that way. So if I have some if I'm coughing or something like that, I don't go to the doctor. It's just like I try to find ways to get over this, let's say, small pain, or just ignore it, in fact. And that means that I consider this working out, but also trading itself, a competition all the time. And I keep my focus, and I have only one thing in mind: to give my best and try to win. And even if I don't win, I know I did everything possible. There will always be someone who's better than me, but I can say for myself, I did my best. And that's, yeah, this is what separates, in this case, the top traders, top athletes from the average guys. So the next character trait here: athletes and traders are focused. We mentioned this several times already. And there's another quote here saying, "The successful warrior is the average man with a laser-like focus." Who said it? Surprise, surprise, was Bruce Lee. So, I mean, yeah, what should we say? So all in all, we all have the same tools available, let's say. But and that means that there will be days when we win, that means that there are days when we lose. But athletes and traders, successful guys, top athletes, top traders, they know that it is not just one game or trade which defines them in their long-term success, but it's the sum of right and good decisions. For example, when it comes to athletes, it's many aspects here come not just down to work out, but also when it comes to eat clean, let's say, for example. We know that there must be one or the other day when we just, let's say, have a cheat meal, let's call it. So just have a hamburger, a pizza, or drink a beer, something like that. I think that this is very, very important. And this is also true when it comes to trading. So this is something at Psychota, for example, one of the market wizards, who was interviewed from Jack Schwager in his Market Wizard series, once said he gives himself the room to play around a little, just to have a gut feeling and just go with the gut feeling. But this is just a small amount of money he's risking here on a long trade, on a short trade, whatever. And this is the same when it comes to athletes, like having such a cheat meal. But at the end of the day, it's that the sum of the good decisions and keep on working and staying focused and going work out, or keep on doing the right things when it comes to trading, this is what gives you the long-term success, in fact. So there will be small setbacks. In case of trading, it's not just not to focus on your setup, but it's also when it comes to being stopped out, for example. So there will be trading approaches which are profitable in 50% of the cases, make you money 50% of the cases, and 50% you lose of the trades. But in the long run, if you continue to trade, the payout you get with a winning trade compared to a losing trade will then, letting winning trades run, cutting losing trades short, put it differently, will make you money, and you will extract money from the market in this case. So knowing this and keeping the focus, not taking losses, especially personally, but as a learning experience, an experience which gives you a chance to be better in the future, it helps you to improve your skills and keep you in the game in the long run. And being focused and not taking a loss personally leaves you with a clear mind, in fact. So you keep your long-term vision and you work hard. You continue to work hard. You wait disciplined for the next chance, and you just go for it then. That's in fact what it means when we say that successful traders and successful athletes are focused. So next trait of successful athletes and successful traders, it's hard work. No surprise, to be honest. So hard work is always a key to long-term success. Here's another quote in this context from a very, very successful athlete. Everybody has talent, but ability takes hard work. Who said it? Again, Michael Jordan was the one who just said this famous quote. And as I already said, no one will argue that hard work and thus building a solid fundament levels the path to greatness, may it be in sports or may it be in trading. But let's have a look here at basketball, for example, in this context. So even professionals work hours on owning their basic skills, working on layups, jump shots, taking free throw shooting, for example. One great example in this context is not just Michael Jordan, but also Kobe Bryant, for example. So unfortunately, he died at the beginning of this year in a helicopter crash with his daughter. But he was also one of the guys. By the way, this is one of the reasons, because I'm somehow, it's difficult to say. I'm very emotional about this because I didn't know him well, and I'm not in basketball, but I adored him for his laser sharp focus, for example, and also for knowing that many people still talk about him in a very, very great way, in fact, and how he put in this extra mile, the extra work here, and keep on honoring his skills. And so in this context, why do you do that? It's very simple, because once these basic skills are within your blood, it's like you try to achieve the level of unconscious competence, in fact. So honoring your skills over and over again, the basic skills here, and rather sooner or later, it will just be part of you. It will be within you here, in fact. And if this happens, then in fact, you can, in case of basketball here, you can throw the ball and score with your eyes closed, for example, and go over to improve and train more complex moves. In fact, throwing with your eyes closed, there's a great example of that with free throw shooting, for example, where there's a YouTube video on this. You can just go on Google or search the YouTube engine here with Michael Jordan eyes closed. You will see him throwing a free throw, in this case, with eyes closed, and by the way, scoring. So that means that it's just in his blood in this case. So, and he can't really lose this ability in the long run. It's very similar to, for example, learn how to ride a bicycle, for example. It's very, very similar. The same is true when it comes to trading them. Professional traders are the same in this context. So they study the markets whenever they can and never stop to improve their knowledge. And even when it comes to basics like support and resistance, that's crucial, in fact, for long-term success. So a personal anecdote in this context, for example, there are no shortcuts. So you have to go this way, else you won't succeed. I had once a mentee, for example, who I tried to educate in regards to trading psychological aspects. It was part of the whole of the 3 columns of profitable trading. We once introduced them. It's risk money management, trading psychology, and trading with an edge, so with a profitable trading strategy. And when we came to psychology, it was like, no, I don't need this. Why is this necessary that we now go through all these theoretical aspects? Because if I know that I have a profitable trading strategy, I just go with it. So I don't need to work on my mental stability or something, because I know that the strategy works well, and then I just go with it. So this is something like 3 or 4 years ago, and we're still in contact, but not in a classic mentor-mentee relationship anymore, and he has still trouble from a psychological aspect or perspective. So he still has trouble because it's not in him. It's the strategy he's trading. He's not really comfortable trading because he doesn't know himself well enough to trade the strategy, to find out whether the strategy corresponds with his personality, for example. And so it's just not possible. I mean, this is something you can give all these input and these important aspects of profitability in trading away and teach someone. But at the end of the day, it comes down to you. So you have to sit down and you have to work through this, and you have to go this extra mile yourself to start to build the skills needed, in fact, when it comes to trading. The same is true, for example, support and resistance or something like that. Some of you might say, well, I have heard so many things about support and resistance and candlesticks. And well, do I really need this? Well, let's put it a different way. Top traders, they don't ask, do I really need this? Or can I learn something new? But they go through it again and search for something new they can then use in their trading, and which hopefully increases their long-term profitability, in fact. So it's not that they want to go through this, but they do it from it's natural. They are just interested. They're excited to learn something new. They are open-minded. And this is something which athletes here and the traders also share with each other. So I mean, let's put it that way. So there are some sports which probably are not that interesting, but someone who is really in his matter and in his sports, let's say it's basketball or it's martial arts, whatever. Even if I have someone who is doing curling, for example, I really like to learn what skills do you need to be a world-class curling player. I'm not even sure whether it's a player, but you know what I mean. So and this open-mindedness, it's crucial for the long-term success. And the same is true for traders. So you just listen to someone, what he has to say, and then you can see the open-minded traders, the successful traders, are asking questions. It's not that they look at you and say, well, this doesn't work. But it's more like they ask you questions like, okay, what do you think if this and that happens? And what about this and that? And have you thought about this? I'm right now thinking about this way and how to use it here and adapt it that way, something like that. So this is something which, again, athletes and traders share here. So the hard work approach and the open-mindedness, in fact, to learn more and to then work through this hard and strong to overcome your competition. The next trait, athletes and traders are mentally tough. So mentally toughness is no a big surprise. But have you ever wondered how, for example, tennis players in the Grand Slam final, for example, having three match points and probably will, if they now score, win the Grand Slam, why they failed at the end? It's because mentally, it's not because they just can't play tennis anymore. or they just got unlucky, but because they lost their focus, they lost their mental stability, in fact. And the same is true when it comes to trading. So let's look at the quote here. Champions have to have the skill and the will, but the will must be stronger than the skill. So who is it? Who is famous for his rhymes when it comes to such quotes? Well, it's Muhammad Ali. And here's the example. Every time I watch a tennis match where someone like Roger Federer, for example, plays, it really impresses me how calm and mentally stable he stays, even when facing a championship point against him. This is also true. So I just did the example with having 3 championship points, but just imagine you're now facing someone serving against you, having a championship point. And this is something which I really admire when looking at guys like Roger Federer, but also Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal, to keep the tennis players here. But it's also true when looking, for example, at penalty in soccer games. So let's just imagine World Cup finals or something like that. There have been penalty shootouts here, in fact. And just imagine that there's billions of people just watching you, and you have to score. And if you fail, well, your team loses. And it's 4 years from now that you have the next time the chance in this context then to win the World Cup final. And probably you're not even playing then anymore because of the competitiveness around you and someone else overcoming your skills, and you're not the player anymore. Just imagine the pressure you will face then. I really look at it from this perspective, and it's really impressive to see that. And the same is true when you use this knowledge here and adapt it to the trading world. Top athletes and traders don't let emotions cloud their judgment, but handle stress and pressure as something completely normal. So that's, for example, also one issue you might have if you're a trader and if you're facing these mental, let's call them mental games every day, several times probably, because you're not just doing one trade per day, but several trades a day. You look at situations when it comes to pressure and stress, you look at them completely different. And to you, especially when it comes to decisions which are money related, you don't have these second guesses and everything like that, but you just run a calculation. You look at the risk reward, for example, and based on that, you then judge whether it's a good trade or a bad trade. And you look at such decisions as a trade. You look at it from an expected value perspective. This is something which is really difficult to explain to the world out of trading, in fact. And sometimes issues arise here because people look at you like you're crazy or something like that. But this is also the reason why 90% of traders fail, because they don't have this clear mind, and they don't have this attitude to look at a trade or a bet or whatever from a risk reward perspective, but they just look at it and then based on their emotions they decide whether to go or to just skip this possibility that might occur there. And so in order to consider stress and pressure normal, you have to have gone through this plenty of times before. So it's not that Roger Federer started this mentally stable, for example, in his tennis game when he was 12 years old, but he went through this plenty of times before. And he learned that strength does not come from winning, but develops through your struggles, in fact. So this is also something which is very difficult to understand, in fact, because when I do live tradings, I really enjoy losing money. So that might sound a little hard here, or harsh and irritating, but let me just click here. Okay. It means that I consider losing money and doing mistakes as a chance to grow. Not just from a pure whatever perspective in regards to trading setup, how to optimize it, but also to continue my focus and to stay mentally stable in this situation, even though I've already lost money. And you can believe me, it's not very easy, but it becomes easier the more the more often you went through this over and over again. And so the strength here comes from not surrendering when hardships occur. So this is what it comes all down to then. And yeah, this is also true. Something which Robert just posted here: you can't be right every time. This is definitely true, but there's a misunderstanding, I think, when it comes to trading. I mean, there are people I met over the years who really think that this is the way, that you have to be right, you have to make money every day. I mean, yes, it's great, it's nice to make money every day, no question about that. And I'd really appreciate to make money every day. But let's face it, there will be days when you just don't make any money because there's no money to be made. So just imagine you have a profitable ice cream business. That's the perfect example in this context. You have a profitable ice cream business. How could this look like? Well, just imagine there's a beach and you're the only one selling ice cream at the beach. Okay, great. So no question about that. It's really difficult to not make money there. Now, just imagine it's a rainy day, and just imagine that will be 1 week. It's rain, and it's usually it's summer, and everyone wants to have ice cream, but who goes to the beach if it's raining? So it happens. It's just the weather. It just happens. You can't win all the time. There are people who don't understand that when it comes to trading. It's also the same when it comes to, for example, when it comes to athletics in this case. So let's put it, for example, when looking here at Muhammad Ali, there's also a more recent example of Vladimir Klitschko, for example. So probably one of the most successful boxers of all time. How did he become one of the most successful boxers, and how did he develop this how can we call this this not just greatness, but also how did he dominate the heavyweight boxing world? He did. Well, he lost 2 times crushingly. So he lost to a guy, I think his name was Corey Sanders, and he was knocked out. And I think there was also another one, but I don't know his name. I just remember Corey Sanders, but there was also another guy he lost to early in his career. That was the starting point. When he started to develop skills, you can only develop once you lost, in case of boxing then, and probably crushingly. There's also traders, or in this case, in the boxing world, there's also the possibility that you just don't make it back then anymore. But I mean, and this is also a perfect example. You grow thanks to those losses, and if you draw the right conclusions out of this, you have a chance to grow when it comes to your overall life, when it comes to your trading in this case, when it comes to athletics, when it comes to sports. And so yeah, this is what mentally toughness then comes down to, in fact. And the last trait in this case, athletes and traders are willing to improve. And there's one great quote, in fact, and it's no surprise also here. It's a quote from Muhammad Ali. I don't count my sit-ups. I only start counting when it starts hurting, because they are the only ones that count. This is where you start to improve, in fact. And this is also something which many misunderstand, or this is also something which comes down to the extra mile. They don't want to go. It's like, okay, I made some money here, and I take the chips from the table and return tomorrow. The thing is now that these are probably the days when strong trends in trading, then, for example, occur. And you can make many times that what you just made, but it comes down to mental toughness. It comes down to willingness to improve, to overcome, in this case, your willingness to take the chips off the table, this classic loss aversion principle, in fact. And yeah, the best traders, the best athletes are the best for one main reason. They just don't stop. They just don't stop. They continue and improve wherever and whenever they can, because they can't stop. It's in their mind. within them. And it's nevertheless something where I'd like to say, or I would say, you can learn that. Because, for example, I remember a story I learned from, I read from Bruce Lee, for example. He was trying to improve the strength of his core body by sitting at a table during having an interview with someone, or chatting with his wife or with his children, whatever. And he was all the time working on his muscles in the stomach region. I don't know what to say. So he was working on his six pack all the time. He was also working on his lower forearms, for example, by smashing them against the table, for example. Not really strongly, but just like to strengthen the lower part of his arms. And this is very extreme. I think Bruce Lee in itself is a very extreme example in this case. Still, it shows what it's meant when it's said that they improve all the time. It's not just athletes, but also traders. Best athletes, the best traders know the value of practice and hard work. They learn from their mistakes by reviewing past performance. By the way, that's one of the reasons why a trading journal is so important, because if you don't know that you're making a mistake, well, you don't know where to start to overcome these mistakes and to improve, in fact. And again, they are also open-minded. They try new strategies. They try to be fully equipped and prepared once the time comes. And it will come rather sooner than later. And it's all about stamina. It's about patience, in fact. It's not just when it comes to athletics, but it comes also when it's true for traders then. So time's up, in fact. So let's have a look at the summary here. So successful traits traders and athletes share are competitiveness, focus, strong discipline thanks to hard training, mental toughness, and the willingness to improve all the time. Every time there is a chance to improve, just take it, try it, and continue to work on yourself to be the best, to become the best version of yourself, and to be prepared once the time comes, in fact. Monday will be the next time when we have a webinar, then with Paul, on how to trade the oil future. This webinar with Paul will include what is an oil future. It's also the question on how it's traded and what do traders need to be aware of. It will be 2 p.m. London on 3rd of August, Monday. And all of you right now listening to this event here live, just check your inbox. It's an ongoing registration. You just get the link for the webinar, then sent directly to your inbox. If you watch this on YouTube, if you enjoyed what you've just seen, please leave a thumb up here. That would be really, really nice. Share the video. If you have questions, please ask them right in the description box. Also, head over to our Traders Yard community and head also over to admiralmarkets.com if you want to be here live in the future. And ask your questions right in the event. Then go to admiralmarkets.com, there to the educations tab, and there to the webinars tab, where you can then register for the Trading Spotlight webinar series. Here's the website. This is the risk disclaimer. No, these are the contact details, and this is the risk disclaimer. And that's it for my end. All the best. Happy trading. Watch your stops. Talk to you next week again. I look forward to it. See you, and bye-bye.